On a cloudy morning, Lucio met with Julia, a woman with a welcoming smile and a calm gaze. The first time they met was in a modest coffee shop, where the smell of fresh coffee filled the air. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Julia was a light in the darkness of Lucio's life. His cynicism, developed over the years, starkly contrasted with her enthusiasm and positivity. Lucio felt a spark of hope in his heart as they talked. Julia spoke with an almost contagious conviction about possibilities, change, and new opportunities. Lucio, accustomed to avoiding disappointment, began to imagine an alternate future. Julia inspired him to believe that there was a chance for redemption and renewal despite the shadows of the past. This meeting marked the beginning of a significant and gradual change in Lucio's life. He began to see beyond the bleak present and envisioned a path to hope. Lucio was aware that the hidden treasure was not just an urban legend. People living on the outskirts of society whispered stories, old maps, and concrete clues. The desire to discover this treasure was so strong. He was conscious of the fact that possessing wealth had the power to drastically transform his life, offering a simple and quick solution to his problems. But the quest for the treasure involved significant risks. There was an internal battle at play, not just facing dangerous adversaries who also desired the fortune. Lucio pondered whether it was worth risking everything for an uncertain promise, torn between greed and fear. However, he continued to be drawn by the temptation, fueled by aspirations of financial independence and the prospect of a fresh start. Lucio felt the weight of the decision grow as he examined each clue. He needed to choose carefully how to proceed when he found the treasure, for it could be his salvation or his downfall. Lucio was constantly involved in an ethical dilemma. On one side, there was an urgent need for survival and protection of his loved ones. In contrast, his intrinsic morality prevented him from taking certain paths. Fraudulent opportunities arose, offering a quick fix to his financial problems. But every step in that direction meant a break with his principles. Lucio thought about the consequences of his actions on his soul and himself. He knew that giving in to necessity could lead to a series of wrong decisions. The internal struggle was fierce, with need and morality battling for control. Lucio was trying to find a way to balance these conflicting aspects of his life. Although he sought a solution that wouldn't compromise his values, reality often made it a Herculean effort. The final decision would be a test of character that would reveal his true personality. In the most challenging moments of Lucio's life, memories of Antonio, an old childhood friend, always surfaced. Antonio was an example of honesty and righteousness, always choosing the right path regardless of the circumstances. His just actions and wise words served as a beacon in the darkness that Lucio often experienced. Lucio remembered the deep conversations they had about morality and ethics while he thought about the decisions he needed to make. Antonio had a strong belief in doing what was right, even when it seemed impossible. Lucio gained a new perspective from these memories, leading him to seek solutions that wouldn't compromise his values. He knew that honoring Antonio's memory meant taking the path of integrity, even if it was more difficult and less rewarding in the short term. Even after Antonio's death, Lucio remained under his influence, helping him find the strength needed to make the right decision. Lucio felt the decision he had to make weighing heavily on him. This crucial moment seemed to affect every aspect of his life. He knew that making the wrong choice could have a devastating impact on both himself and those who depended on him. The fear of regret and guilt consumed him, making indecision a constant torture. Lucio spent sleepless nights thinking about all the possible consequences of his choices. He sought advice, reflected on his past, and tried to foresee the future. But uncertainty was relentless. The burden of the decision wasn't just an economic issue. It was a test of his character and resilience. Lucio knew he would need to face the consequences with courage and dignity, regardless of the path he chose. His conscience drove him to seek a solution that was not only viable, but also as moral and just as possible. Though difficult, the weight of the decision also offered a chance for self-discovery and improvement. Helena entered Lucio's life like a gentle breeze, bringing with her memories of a past he had tried to forget. They had a complicated history marked by romance and betrayal. Helena knew Lucio's secrets, as well as his strengths and flaws, and her presence stirred conflicting emotions in him. Lucio was forced to confront parts of himself that he had buried when he saw Helena again. They reminisced about a time when things were simpler, yet more complicated, and their conversations were filled with memories and pain. Helena, with her soft voice and deep gaze, challenged Lucio to confront his ghosts and reconsider his decisions. Her experience with him highlighted the depth of his emotional wounds and the need for healing. Lucio realized that to move forward, he needed to reconcile with his past and learn from his mistakes. Helena served as a catalyst for his change. Julio represented renewal and hope in Lucio's life. Julio was young and energetic, looking at the world with hope and possibility. A better future, free from the shadows that had haunted Lucio for so long, was offered by their friendship. Julio brought fresh perspectives and ideas that challenged Lucio's cynicism. He had a strong belief in second chances and the ability to change. Lucio began to feel Julio's influence in his life, making him reflect on the possibilities of the future and the mistakes of the past. They worked together to plan new ventures and explore paths that once seemed unviable. Julio's contagious energy made Lucio feel a sense of renewal. More than anything, this friendship gave Lucio a new beginning, a chance to rewrite his story with faith and determination. Lucio sought out the seer Marilza, known for her wisdom and accuracy. He not only provided advice, but also practical tools. Lucio gained the confidence needed to face challenges and overcome difficulties, thanks to Antonio's unwavering support. Over time, Lucio grew, discovering new interests and rediscovering parts of himself that had been forgotten. Gratitude and the desire to repay Antonio's constant attention marked Lucio's new life. This rebirth was not just a change in circumstances. It was a significant shift in identity and purpose. Lucio learned much from life on the streets. Each day was a daily struggle for survival, where loss and adversity were often companions. Lucio saw his friends lose hope, fall into addictions, and disappear without a trace. The nights were particularly cruel, with intense cold and constant fear of danger. His bed was the cold asphalt and rough sidewalks, while his only roof was the starry sky, often covered by clouds. Every corner had a story of battle, and Lucio learned to move carefully, always observing what surrounded him. Despite the hardships, Lucio also found moments of companionship. His reality was made clearer by simple acts of kindness, like offering a meal or sharing a blanket. These fleeting human connections provided some comfort in his harsh existence, but he always lost, and each farewell left deep scars on his heart. Lucio developed an inner strength that helped him cope with the daily challenges. Lucio was deeply affected by life on the streets, teaching him the fragility of life and the importance of every small moment of relief. Each loss was a painful reminder of his vulnerability, but also a drive to keep fighting. Lucio knew he had to keep going, despite the hardships, seeking a way out of this endless cycle of suffering. Even after his departure, Antonio left a significant legacy in Lucio's life. Lucio still remembered his words of wisdom and kindness, which helped and comforted him in moments of uncertainty. Antonio always believed in the value of following a moral and just path, regardless of the circumstances. This teaching served as a moral compass for Lucio, who often faced difficult choices. However, Lucio was deeply lonely due to Antonio's absence. The comforting conversation and reassuring presence of his friend were missing from his life. The world seemed colder and harsher without Antonio. Although Lucio tried to fill the void left by this loss, loneliness was a constant companion. He felt helpless and wandered the streets, searching for signs of Antonio in his own life. Despite the loneliness, Lucio strove to honor Antonio's memory and to live according to the values he had taught him. The loneliness not only forced him to confront his own demons, but also strengthened him, helping him develop greater resilience. Lucio knew that to truly honor Antonio's legacy, he needed to find a way to overcome the loneliness and turn the pain into strength. This process of self-discovery and growth was necessary for him to continue following his friend's teachings. Meeting with Dr. in Lucio's life, Ricardo Mendez marked a significant turning point. Dr. Ricardo was a respected doctor, known for his dedication and compassion for those who didn't have the same opportunities. In a homeless shelter, where Dr. Ricardo provided voluntary medical care. Lucio felt a special connection with the doctor from the start. Dr. Ricardo's kindness and attention inspired confidence and hope in Lucio. Over the course of their consultations, Dr. Ricardo cared not only for Lucio's body, but also for his story. Offering words of encouragement and practical advice, he listened carefully. Lucio, accustomed to being forgotten by society, found in Dr. Ricardo a rare source of help and understanding. As Lucio realized the doctor's genuine concern for his well-being, this relationship slowly grew. Dr. Ricardo's impact went beyond medical care. He encouraged Lucio to seek new opportunities and have faith in a better future. Dr. Ricardo emphasized the importance of resilience and hope, even in difficult situations. Beyond improving his physical health, this meeting instilled hope in Lucio. Dr. Ricardo became a friend and mentor to Lucio, willing to help him find a path to a more fulfilling and dignified life. Dr. Ricardo Mendes's kindness was evident in every word and gesture. Without expecting anything in return, he dedicated his time and resources to helping the less fortunate. This generosity was a blessing for Lucio and transformed his life. Dr. Ricardo didn't just provide medical care. Instead, he personally engaged with people, seeking to understand their deeper needs. Dr. Ricardo's tireless dedication impressed Lucio. He saw the doctor work tirelessly at the shelter, often giving up his comfort to ensure everyone received the necessary treatment. Dr. Ricardo's kindness, beyond the clinic, helped restore dignity and hope in people who had lost everything. Dr. Ricardo's kindness also expressed itself through simple yet meaningful gestures. Always with a welcoming smile and a word of encouragement, he brought food, clothing, and other essentials to the homeless. These acts of kindness were a constant reminder to Lucio that kindness still exists in the world. He began to see Dr. Ricardo not just as a doctor, but as a friend and mentor. As a result of Dr. Ricardo's generosity, Lucio began to find ways to give back, though modest. Sharing the teachings and support he had received, he helped other homeless people at the shelter. Dr. Ricardo's kindness not only saved Lucio physically, but also awakened in him a desire to make a difference in the lives of others, continuing the legacy of kindness he had received from him. One day, Dr. Lucio was invited for a meal at Ricardo's house. Although he was nervous, Lucio was also eager to accept the invitation. When he arrived at Dr. Ricardo's home, the doctor's family warmly welcomed him. The simple yet delicious meal was served at the table, and Lucio experienced a sense of warmth that he hadn't felt in a long time. Throughout the meal, they talked naturally, and Lucio felt more at ease. The meal was not just an act of eating, it was a moment of sharing and connection. Dr. Ricardo and his family showed a genuine interest in Lucio's story, listening attentively as he talked about his experiences on the streets. In this environment, Lucio, who often felt invisible, found a chance to communicate and be heard. Dr. Ricardo and his family's generosity and respect deeply affected Lucio. After this encounter, Lucio gained a new perspective on what it meant to be accepted and belong. He discovered that there were people capable of seeing beyond his circumstances and appreciating his humanity. Lucio's transformation was driven by the connection formed during that meal. He began to believe that despite his difficult past, there was a place in the world where he could be loved and accepted. Dr. Ricardo and his family's kindness during that meal built a bridge between two seemingly different worlds. This experience served as a reminder to Lucio that true human connections transcend social and economic barriers. He left that house with a heart full of gratitude and renewed hope for the future, determined to seize every opportunity life offered. After lunch, Dr. Ricardo made Lucio an unexpected offer. He suggested helping Lucio find a job and a safe place to live. This offer was more than Lucio could have anticipated. It was a genuine opportunity to revitalize his life. Lucio accepted the offer with tears in his eyes, feeling an enormous weight lifted from his shoulders. Dr. Ricardo promised to use his contacts and resources to ensure that Lucio had the necessary support for this transition. Lucio's hope was deeply renewed by the offer of help. For the first time in years, he saw a future where he wouldn't have to struggle alone. Dr. Ricardo committed to guiding him throughout the process, offering both material and emotional support. Lucio began to believe that with the right determination and support, he could overcome the challenges and build a dignified life. The renewed hope gave Lucio a new energy. He committed himself to following Dr. Ricardo's recommendations, actively seeking job opportunities and participating in training courses. Dr. Ricardo's guidance during this time helped Lucio develop his skills and regain his confidence. With each small achievement, such as securing a job interview or learning a new skill, Lucio grew more confident in his potential. Dr. Ricardo's contribution planted hope in Lucio beyond just an act of generosity. Over time, this hope began to grow and transform into positive actions and results. Although he knew there was still a long way to go, Lucio was no longer alone. The renewed hope drove him to keep going, determined to make the most of this second chance with gratitude and determination. Considering Dr. Ricardo's proposal, Lucio moved into the doctor's house, where he was welcomed with friendship and consideration. Dr. Ricardo's family opened the doors of their home to Lucio, offering him a comfortable room and a safe environment. For Lucio, this new home was more than just shelter. It was a symbol of acceptance and a fresh start. Initially, Lucio felt somewhat out of place as he tried to adjust to the household routine and new family interactions. But Dr. Ricardo and his family's patience and kindness helped ease the transition. They involved Lucio in daily tasks, such as sharing meals and doing small household chores. Lucio felt a sense of belonging he had never experienced before as he became part of that community. The interaction with Dr. Ricardo and his family taught Lucio many things. He learned the importance of mutual support, cooperation, and responsibility. Every day at Dr. Ricardo's residence offered a chance to learn and grow. Encouraged by Dr. Ricardo, Lucio understood the value of giving back to the community. Moreover, Lucio's new home provided him with a space to reflect and plan his future. With the continuous support of Dr. Ricardo, he began to set goals and strive to achieve them. In his new home, Lucio could focus on his personal and professional growth without the distractions and worries he encountered on the streets. The visit to Dr. Ricardo Mendez's house marked a significant transformation in Lucio's life. He went from a life of survival on the streets to a life of growth and support. Dr. Ricardo and his family's kindness provided Lucio with not just a home, but also a new perspective on life, filled with opportunities and hope. Dr. Ricardo Mendez's house, beyond serving as a temporary shelter for Lucio, became his true home. Lucio's relationship with Dr. Ricardo's family grew to the point where he considered them his new family. Lucio had never experienced unconditional support and love before, and it had a profound impact on his life. Lucio's new family consisted not only of Dr. Ricardo and his wife, Clara, but also their children, João and Maria. Clara was kind and empathetic, always available to offer a listening ear and insightful advice. Despite the age difference, João and Maria accepted Lucio as their older brother, involving him in their activities and sharing laughs and precious moments with him. The days in the new home were filled with activities that helped people bond and grow as individuals. Family meals were occasions where everyone gathered to discuss the day's events and offer each other support. Dr. Ricardo and Clara encouraged Lucio to pursue his dreams and not be deterred by the difficulties that had surrounded him in the past. Lucio found a solid foundation to rebuild his life with this new family dynamic. Knowing he had a strong support network to help him, he eagerly pursued academic and professional opportunities. Lucio's new family celebrated every success he achieved and supported him in overcoming obstacles, emphasizing the value of love and solidarity. Lucio's transition from the streets to a new home and a new family was a process of healing and personal growth. Dr. Ricardo and his family not only provided Lucio with a new chance at life, but also taught him the value of family and home. With this new support, Lucio was ready to face the future with hope and courage, knowing he was no longer alone. Dr. Ricardo Mendez always had a strong desire to help young people like Lucio find a safe and promising path. This dream was inspired by his own sister, Carolina, who had faced similar hardships in the past. Carolina was a significant figure in Dr. Ricardo's life, and her story of overcoming and resilience motivated him to change the lives of others. Carolina was a talented young woman, but life circumstances led her to face many challenges. With the help of Dr. Ricardo and other friends, she managed to overcome her difficulties, find her purpose, and become a successful professional. Her journey of struggles and victories demonstrated the power of support and determination. Dr. Ricardo's dream was to build a community center in Carolina's honor, where young people in vulnerable situations could find resources, guidance, and a welcoming environment to grow. He believed that many could follow Carolina's example and change their lives with the right support. His encounter with Lucio and the visit to Dr. Ricardo reinforced this vision of the benefits of giving someone in need a second chance. Dr. Ricardo inspired Lucio to believe in his potential and seek ways to help the community when he shared this dream with him. Moved by Carolina's story and Dr. Ricardo's work, Lucio began to envision a future where he could impact others' lives. Dr. Ricardo and Carolina's dream gave Lucio inspiration and motivation, showing him that with determination and support, anyone can overcome adversity and achieve great things. Carolina, Dr. Ricardo's sister, influenced his decision to take in Lucio. Her legacy of compassion and resilience had a significant impact on her brother's actions, despite her physical absence. Dr. Ricardo always spoke fondly of Carolina, a woman who had fought with courage and grace against her own hardships. Her story of overcoming was a constant reminder of the transformative power of support and kindness. Carolina had dedicated much of her life to helping young people in difficult situations, providing them with guidance and resources to build a better future. Her tireless work had a lasting impact on the community, and many were inspired by her example. Dr. Ricardo believed that taking in Lucio was a way to honor his sister and continue her legacy of love and generosity. When Dr. Ricardo shared Carolina's story with Lucio, he saw a remarkable change in the young man. Lucio's view of his potential shifted after feeling a strong connection with Carolina's story. He realized that, like Carolina, he had the ability to overcome his adversities and make a positive impact on others' lives. This realization inspired Lucio to make the most of the opportunity he was given. Carolina's influence and Dr. Ricardo's invitation to Lucio strengthened their mission of establishing a place where vulnerable youth could find support and hope. Inspired by Carolina's example, Lucio began working hard to achieve his goals and help Dr. Ricardo create a lasting legacy. Both were guided and motivated by Carolina's spiritual presence, showing them the path of compassion and transformation. Lucio finally found a place where he belonged after feeling lost for so long. Dr. Ricardo Mendez's home became a permanent home where he was treated with love and respect. Dr. Ricardo's wife, Clara, and their children, João and Maria, warmly welcomed Lucio, including him in the family's daily activities and making him feel like part of the family. Each day brought new moments of companionship and learning. Clara served as a maternal figure for Lucio, always willing to listen and offer advice. Despite the age difference, João and Maria considered Lucio their older brother, confiding in him and sharing laughter and secrets. Together, they established a harmonious routine that gave Lucio a sense of security and stability he had never known before. As part of the Mendez family, Lucio regained his self-esteem and confidence. Inspired by the unconditional support he received, he began to believe more in his own potential and worth. Lucio cherished the family meals, weekend outings, and fireside chats as valuable moments. This new family dynamic motivated Lucio to reciprocate the care and support he received. He helped with household chores, assisted João and Maria with their studies, and strived to be a positive influence on everyone. Lucio finally found a place where he could grow and thrive, surrounded by people who loved and believed in him. He felt ready to face the future with renewed hope and determination. With the support of the Mendez family, Lucio began to see a bright future ahead. The constant support of Dr. Ricardo and Clara and the opportunities that arose allowed Lucio to focus on his personal and professional growth. He sought to acquire skills that would ensure a solid career, attending workshops and technical courses. Lucio discovered a passion for IT, particularly software development. Dr. Ricardo used his contacts and knowledge to help Lucio find internships and apprenticeships that aligned with his interests. With each new achievement, whether completing a course or developing a successful project, Lucio grew more confident in his abilities. Lucio felt deeply valued and appreciated by the Mendez family, who celebrated each milestone he achieved. Inspired by Lucio's example, João and Maria also dedicated themselves to their own passions with renewed determination. Lucio thrived in this atmosphere of support and encouragement. In addition to his academic and professional achievements, Lucio devoted himself to social initiatives. His dedication was inspired by Carolina's legacy and Dr. Ricardo's work. He volunteered at shelters and support centers, sharing his experiences and offering guidance to young people facing challenges similar to those he had overcome. Lucio looked to the future with optimism, determined to live a life filled with purpose and meaning. He knew the road would be tough, but with the Mendez family by his side and the inner strength he had discovered, he was ready to face any obstacle. Lucio's bright future was a journey guided by gratitude and the desire to make a difference in the lives of others. Lucio always carried with him the lessons he had learned from his childhood friend Antonio and Dr. Ricardo Mendez, his mentor and savior. Both left lasting marks on his life, teaching him resilience, virtue, and charity. The legacy of these two men served as the foundation for Lucio's own character and drive. Antonio always believed that a person's actions could change the world around them because of his unwavering wisdom and ethics. Even when no one is watching, he taught Lucio the importance of doing what is right. These lessons were crucial for Lucio during his most difficult moments, helping him make better decisions and strengthen his character. On the other hand, Dr. Ricardo Mendez demonstrated to Lucio the transformative power of support and compassion. Dr. Ricardo's generosity and assistance created opportunities and opened doors Lucio never imagined. He learned that with the right support, anyone could overcome difficulties and find a path to a dignified life. With these teachings deeply rooted, Lucio decided to follow in his mentor's footsteps and dedicate his time and effort to helping others in need. He contributed his time and expertise to community projects, assisting vulnerable youth. Lucio wanted to be the same for these young people as Antonio and Dr. Ricardo had been for him, a source of inspiration, guidance, and hope. The legacy of Antonio and Dr. Ricardo Mendez shaped not only Lucio as a person, but also his actions and decisions. He knew that honoring his mentor's memory meant adhering to the principles they had taught him and working to improve the world. Lucio was grateful and determined to leave his legacy of kindness and transformation, inspired by the lessons of those who had changed his life. Inspired by the legacy and work of Dr. Carolina, Lucio and Ricardo Mendez dedicated themselves to building a shelter for vulnerable youth. With Dr. Ricardo's collaboration and other community members, an old building was transformed into a welcoming center. In this place, young people could find refuge, resources, and guidance. The shelter offered various services, including educational assistance, vocational training, and emotional support. Lucio wanted to ensure that every young person had the opportunity to develop their skills and build a better future. The environment was carefully designed to provide safety and warmth while fostering a sense of belonging and community. Lucio was actively involved in the shelter, assisting with management and interacting directly with the youth. He shared his own story of overcoming to show them that anything could change their lives. Lucio formed genuine connections with the residents, inspiring many and giving them hope. The shelter quickly became a beacon of hope in the community, attracting volunteers and donors who wanted to help. Each success story, every young person who found a new path, and every smile of gratitude demonstrated the shelter's positive impact. Lucio knew he was fulfilling the mission he had learned from Antonio and Dr. Ricardo, making a significant difference. For Lucio, the shelter was more than just a project. It was the realization of a dream fueled by determination and compassion. In the eyes of the youth, he saw the same hope he had once found in Dr. Ricardo, knowing he was on the right path. The shelter represented a new beginning for many, a place where human potential could flourish and where the legacy of kindness could spread. Dr. Ricardo Mendez was impressed by Lucio's work at the shelter. For him, seeing Lucio transform his life, and now help others do the same, was proof of the positive effect a generous action could have. The shelter represented the realization of several dreams and aspirations he and his sister Carolina had nurtured over the years. Every aspect of the shelter reflected Carolina's memory. Many of the practices and values implemented in the center, stemmed from her journey of overcoming and her dedication to helping young people facing difficulties. Dr. Ricardo always shared Carolina's story with the youth, showing them that courage and support could help anyone overcome obstacles. Dr. Ricardo was thrilled to see Lucio take on the role of mentor and leader for the youth, guiding them with the same determination and compassion he had demonstrated. He knew Carolina would be proud to see her story's longevity and the significant impact it was having on so many young lives. Dr. Ricardo's wife, Clara, and their children, João and Maria, also supported the project with pride. The Mendes family saw the shelter as an extension of their mission in life, a way to uphold the values of kindness and community service they had always cherished. They celebrated every triumph and supported Lucio in overcoming every obstacle, knowing they were honoring Carolina's memory. Dr. Ricardo saw Carolina's true legacy not just in her story of overcoming, but also in the inspiration she left for others to do the same. Witnessing Lucio thrive and make a difference was the fulfillment of that legacy. It was proof that love and compassion could change lives in extraordinary ways. With pride and gratitude, Dr. Ricardo continued to support Lucio, convinced they were helping many young people secure a better future. Lucio faced an internal dilemma that required courage and reflection, forgiving his past mistakes and deciding the direction of his life. He had lived on the streets for so long, carrying the weight of guilt and shame for the choices he had made. Despite Dr. Ricardo's and his new family's help, these feelings held him back from moving forward. Lucio began his journey toward forgiveness by acknowledging his humanity and flaws. He recognized that everyone has the capacity to make mistakes, but also that it's possible to learn and become better from those mistakes. With Dr. Ricardo's collaboration, Lucio started reflecting on his experiences and dealing with his guilt at the shelter. Lucio decided to forgive himself. He realized that if he wanted to move on and help others, he would need to free himself from the chains of the past. This process was difficult and required deep thought and time. Lucio found inspiration in the stories of other residents at the shelter who had also struggled to overcome their issues. Lucio decided to forgive himself and dedicate his life to helping others in similar situations. He wanted to be a light for young people who felt lost and hopeless, showing them that it's possible to find redemption and a new purpose. Lucio not only saw his life change, but also inspired many around him with his decision to forgive and move forward. Lucio's commitment to his work at the shelter was strengthened by this journey of forgiveness and resolution. He knew that his difficult past didn't define his future, and that with determination and compassion, he could make a difference. Lucio was ready to face any obstacle, confident that he had found his true purpose in life and was on the right path to honor his mentor's legacy. When Lucio re-encountered Helena, a figure from the past with whom he had a complicated history, his life took a different turn. Helena had gone through moments of regret and change in her life, seeking reconciliation and a chance to redeem her mistakes. Lucio was forced to confront his past with this re-encounter, which stirred mixed feelings of hope and pain in him. It seemed that Helena had changed, and her regret deeply touched Lucio. But he knew that it was impossible to ignore the hurts and betrayals of the past. The decision to forgive Helena required more than words. It was a matter of rebuilding trust and believing that people could truly change. Lucio thought about the lessons of forgiveness he had learned. He knew that forgiveness was the path to inner peace, but he also understood the value of caution. Dr. Ricardo wisely advised Lucio to follow his heart, but also to protect himself emotionally. Rebuilding trust takes time. The encounter with Helena was a test of the new values and strengths Lucio had developed. He chose to give Helena a chance, but with caution. They established new boundaries and expectations, gradually rebuilding their friendship. Lucio was willing to see how committed Helena was to change, maintaining a balance between compassion and self-defense. This cautious approach allowed Lucio to maintain his integrity and emotional well-being while exploring the possibility of mutual redemption. The encounter with Helena offered them both a chance to learn and grow. For Lucio, it was also proof that forgiveness, when used wisely, could open doors to new opportunities without compromising emotional safety. As Lucio built his life and found stability, he began to carefully consider the legacy he wanted to leave for the future. Inspired by the teachings of Antonio and Dr. Ricardo Mendez, Lucio had a desire to create something lasting that could continue helping other young people overcome obstacles and find their way. The shelter was just the beginning. Lucio envisioned a broader system of resources and programs that could provide ongoing support to vulnerable youth. He aimed to expand operations to include formal education, vocational training, and psychological support, creating a holistic environment where young people could fully develop. Lucio devoted himself to this vision with renewed enthusiasm. He worked hard to secure funding, form partnerships with other organizations, and create curricula that met the unique needs of the youth served. His personal experience gave him a distinct insight, allowing him to design programs that had a meaningful impact on those in need. Empowering others to become agents of change was also part of building his legacy. Lucio encouraged the youth to take on leadership roles at the shelter, giving them responsibility for planning events, teaching classes to new residents, and contributing to the community. He believed that by teaching these young people, he was ensuring that the positive impact he aimed to create would be sustained for years to come. Lucio's vision gradually began to take shape. The shelter transformed into a center of excellence, recognized for its innovative and effective approach. Lucio saw many young people thrive, finding jobs, reconnecting with their families, and confidently facing new challenges. His legacy was not just a collection of successful programs, but also a vibrant community of empowered individuals who continued to promote good. Lucio knew that true legacy was not something he could see fully in his lifetime. Instead, it was something that would evolve and change over time. He was determined to keep working hard, always seeking new ways to improve and expand the reach of his work. Lucio's legacy was a testament to his resilience, compassion, and determination to make a difference in every person's life in an effort to improve the world. Helena's presence in Lucio's life raised many questions and doubts. He often wondered if Helena truly deserved a second chance. Lucio was cautious not to be deceived by appearances, knowing that trust is hard to rebuild once broken. While Helena showed signs of genuine change, Lucio knew their history was complicated and filled with old wounds. Helena, for her part, made an effort to show Lucio that she had changed. She devoted her time and resources to helping the youth, actively participating in the shelter's activities. Her honest and consistent behavior began to chip away at some of the barriers Lucio had built in his heart. But the shadow of the past still loomed over them, reminding Lucio of all the pain and betrayals that had driven them apart. Dr. Ricardo advised Lucio not only to follow his instincts, but also to give Helena a chance to prove she was committed to change. He reminded Lucio of the importance of forgiveness and the possibility of redemption, but he also emphasized the need to protect himself emotionally. Lucio knew he had to find a way to balance caution and compassion. As Lucio pondered the future of his relationship with Helena, he reflected on his experiences of overcoming and forgiveness. He knew that people have the capacity to change and that everyone deserves a chance to redeem themselves. He also knew that a second chance must be earned through consistent and honest actions. The doubt was not only about trusting Helena again, but also trusting himself to make the right decision. Lucio decided to continue observing and evaluating Helena's actions, allowing time and experience to dictate the course of their relationship. He was willing to forgive, but wanted to see lasting change. This period of uncertainty challenged Lucio to apply the forgiveness and resilience he had learned. He knew that this process was enhancing his ability to make wise and compassionate decisions, both for himself and others. No matter the outcome, he was determined to approach it with integrity. As the shelter grew and succeeded, Lucio began to attract public attention for his work. Journalists, charitable organizations, and community members wanted to learn more about the man who had transformed his own life and was now helping others do the same. Lucio became a subject of attention, sharing his story and the vision behind his work. Public opinion about Lucio was largely positive. His journey of overcoming and dedication to supporting young people inspired many. The shelter's effectiveness and the impact it had on the lives of residents were highlighted in articles and reports. Lucio was invited to speak at conferences and events, where he shared his experiences and encouraged others to engage in community activities. But with the attention came criticisms and challenges. Some people sought to discredit Lucio by revealing his troubled past. Lucio knew he had to respond to these criticisms with honesty and transparency. He never hid his past and always spoke openly about the challenges he had faced and the lessons he had learned from them. Lucio demonstrated his integrity in responding to criticism. He invited skeptics to visit the shelter, meet the young people, and see the work being done firsthand. His openness and willingness to face criticism head-on only strengthened public trust in him. This new chapter in Lucio's life, marked by public exposure, provided a platform to spread his message of resilience and hope. He used this opportunity to garner more support and resources for the shelter, expand its programs, and broaden the reach of his work. Lucio also encouraged others to share their own stories of overcoming, creating a network of support and inspiration. The public scrutiny, with its praise and criticism, only strengthened Lucio's resolve to continue his work. He knew that while public attention was fleeting, the impact of his actions would endure for years. Lucio was committed to writing this new chapter with the same passion and honesty that had guided him thus far, always aiming to change the lives of the most disadvantaged.